Maya Angelou wrote, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. Well, ain't that the truth? In Carla's wisdom story this morning, did you love the slurry? We peeked inside of the changes that a caterpillar experiences in order to emerge as that beautiful, transcendent, purple and sparkly butterfly. Cells mutating and turning in on themselves, shrinking, dying, expanding, regenerating as something new. That vivacious slurry of the in-between stage, inside the chrysalis, not quite the caterpillar, not quite the butterfly, in a mad dance towards becoming. In order to emerge as that butterfly, the caterpillar must die to what it was before. It must transform. In this moment, then, we, with a nod to the great Maya Angelou, must admit the changes of this time. We must admit that we are, what? Transforming. In a word, you can do hard. Just like the caterpillar to butterfly, we are transforming. We can do hard. Beloved kin, we have survived through a 2-year-plus pandemic, an insurrection at the White House, threats to democracy with thinly veiled gerrymandering and other political tomfoolery. We have survived working from home, social isolation, the fabric of our lives tearing and fraying. We have survived cramped quarters with endless hours on Zoom. Oh yeah. And it's not over. We have survived unfathomable loss. So many of our beloveds have crossed to the other side of life. We have survived and chosen to be part of a spiritual community today. Just by being here, you are declaring to yourself and your life that tending to your spirit matters. That who you love matters. That how you love, who and what you serve matters. The greater good and our collective liberation all matter, and that's not for nothing. That is the stuff of transformation. We are all transforming into something new because our world has shifted in ways that we still have yet to truly understand, and yet we have survived. In short, we can do hard. That's a phrase that Bo Lozoff uses in his book, It's a Meaningful Life. It just takes practice, with a foreword by none other than His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We can do hard, Bo Lozoff says. And Lozoff is the co-founder of the Human Kindness Project and began the Prison Ashram Project. And he's just an all-amazing human, all-around amazing human. He has been teaching meditation and kindness practices to incarcerated people for decades now. In his book, It's a Meaningful Life, Lozoff talks about 2 orientations: inner spirituality and external spirituality. Inner spirituality, as he writes, is that each of us in silence and in solitude can touch and eventually merge into that divine essence which is deep within each of us. And that external spirituality is community, is the people, where we love, and how we respect all of creation, to be forgiving, to be compassionate and generous, and how we dedicate our lives to the common good rather than merely personal success, are all expressions of an external spiritual path. And both of these, inner and outer, lead to that deeper path of life. And most meaningfully, Lozoff encourages to not take the easy way out. A t-shirt of mine just popped into my head. It says, "Discipline equals freedom." I know, right? He encourages us to not take the easy way out. Spiritual practices will help us meet the world with courage and perseverance. Do we need that right now? Do we need that right now? Courage and perseverance. So yes, Lozoff shares about his communal house called Kindness House. Don't you want to live in a house that's called Kindness House? We have a saying, he writes, around Kindness House: you can do hard. You can do hard. The reason we say that is this, that in our modern era, the word "it's too hard" has become an anthem for giving up. Having an ache or a pain, reach for a pill. Feel uncomfortable, turn on the TV. Bored at night, scroll endlessly through social media. We've become afraid to tackle anything that might be very hard because maybe we've convinced ourselves that we can't do hard things. Lozoff says, "You can do hard" is one of my community's ways of reminding each other that we need not run away in fear just because something is really challenging. It might be daunting, but we can do daunting. We have each other. It might be even really scary, but we can do scary. We are not alone. No matter how bad it is, and it could be very bad for a while, we can do hard. We really can. Lozoff says, don't let a brief cultural myopia fool you into thinking you'll crumble when the chips are down. Human beings are designed for the chips to be down sometimes. We can endure unimaginably hard things and come out for the better for them. You can do hard. We can do hard. We've come this far because we can do hard. I almost want to sing that hymn. We've come so far by faith. Who's going to sing it for me? Stephen? That's the problem when you sit right in front of me, right? We've come so far by faith. And stay with me here. That's where the beauty begins. That's the beautiful part, because it invites, challenge invites meaning and purpose. Lozoff teaches this in his prison ashram program. He tells the people, you can have a meaningful spiritual life incarcerated. You can cultivate 3 spiritual practices each and every day to remind you and others that your life and life is sacred and precious. Lozoff teaches 3 things, 3 meaningful spiritual experiences to have each day. An experience of beauty. This is the spiritual month of beauty. So every day, cultivate an experience of beauty. Second is to experience something noble. And third is an experience of the sacred. Beauty, noble, sacred. It's really challenging not to pause here in this space to appreciate beauty. Or the laugh of a child. Weren't the kids great for the wisdom story? I was surprised that they knew Chrysalis just a little bit. That was a beautiful moment. The laugh of a child, the peonies that are growing in the garden, the quiet of a moonlit night. And he encourages an experience of being noble. Not just appreciate beauty, but the second one is an act of service to something greater, an act of kindness, an act of generosity, intentionally doing something for someone or something else. Making someone else's day, making someone else's life or world just a little bit better. And sacred, an experience of the sacred, a holy moment. A time in meditation, perhaps lighting a candle of remembrance, perhaps praying for those who are suffering, or meditating on loving kindness. An experience of the sacred each and every day is available to us if we pause and we are open and we acknowledge the beauty of our lives and our worlds. So, beloveds, we are in the slurry of life. See the little jar that Carla made for us? We are in the slurry of life. Neither caterpillar nor butterfly, neither pre-pandemic nor post-pandemic. We are emerging and becoming something new and something beautiful, I believe. And I'm going to tell myself here, I was called as the minister of this congregation 2 years ago this month. And normally, what follows a calling of a minister is what? An installation, which means that we're getting hitched, and it's a little overdue. Sorry, that's the casual parlance. This is the spiritual ritual of me being called and installed as the minister of this congregation. And yes, it took 2 years, because there is beauty in the middle of transitions. And finally, I had to say yes, because you said yes to me, and I said yes to you, and now it's time to celebrate that yes. So as Unitarian Universalists and for this congregation, we covenant together to affirm and promote not 7 principles, but our 8 shared principles. We also draw on 6 sources, which is how many of our principles are practiced in our lives and our world. Our first source is the direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. That's what Lozoff is talking about with those 3 daily experiences of beauty, doing something noble, and an experience of the sacred. That's that direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and openness to the forces which create and uphold life. It means that we are siding with love to bring justice and hope to a bruised and hurting world. So this day, my beautiful, beloved people, may you go out into your lives and into the world knowing that the blessings of this time, this liminal time, are possible. With beauty, nobility, and the sacred to deepen our path. And yes, we are transforming. Do you want to dance in that slurry with me? Come on now, let's dance in that slurry. And with our spiritual practices, both internal and external, with a clear-eyed and open-hearted willingness to do hard, we can and will, in return, emerge with grace and beauty. So let us say together, Amen. And may it be so. And Ashe.